The wedding ring he gave her wore my grandmother's diamond. Part 1, The Betrayal Unfolds. The anniversary that changed everything. Welcome back to Heart's Reckoning. Before we begin, please hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Today's story will break your heart before it heals it. The champagne bottle felt cold in my hands as I pushed open the apartment door. 5 years. 5 whole years with Marcus, and tonight we were celebrating our anniversary. I had left work early, stopped by his favorite bakery, and picked up the expensive champagne he loved. My heart was racing with excitement because tonight felt special. Tonight felt like the night he might finally propose. The apartment was quiet. Too quiet. Marcus's jacket hung on the coat rack, so I knew he was home. Soft music drifted from the bedroom, the kind of jazz he only played when he wanted to relax. I smiled, thinking he was preparing a surprise for me. How wrong I was. The discovery that shattered my world. I tiptoed toward the bedroom, holding the champagne behind my back, ready to surprise him. The door was slightly open. Through the gap, I could see our bed. Our bed. The one we had picked out together at that furniture store, laughing about thread counts and mattress firmness. The one where he held me during thunderstorms because I was scared of lightning. On that bed was Marcus. And beside him, wearing nothing but his shirt, was Sarah. My best friend Sarah. The woman who had been my bridesmaid at my sister's wedding. The woman who had helped me pick out lingerie for romantic nights with Marcus. The woman who had cried on my shoulder when her own relationships failed. The champagne bottle slipped from my fingers. It hit the hardwood floor with a crash that echoed through the apartment like a gunshot. Both of them jumped. Marcus's face went white as a ghost. Sarah grabbed the bedsheet, pulling it up to her chin, her eyes wide with something that looked like fear. Or maybe guilt. I could not tell anymore. Lily, Marcus stammered, scrambling off the bed, reaching for his pants. This is not what it looks like. I laughed. Actually laughed. Because what else do you do when the most cliché line in the world comes out of your fiancé's mouth? Really? My voice sounded strange to my own ears. Cold. Distant. Because it looks like you're sleeping with my best friend in our bed on our anniversary. Sarah started crying. Real tears streaming down her face. Lily, please, let me explain. We never meant for this to happen. It just did. How long? The words came out as a whisper. I was not sure I wanted to know the answer, but I had to ask. Marcus could not look at me. He stared at the floor, his hands shaking as he buttoned his shirt. 6 months. 6 months. Half a year. While I was planning our future, picking out wedding venues, talking to him about babies and growing old together, he was sleeping with my best friend. The room started spinning. I grabbed the doorframe to steady myself. The ring that sparked my fury. That is when I saw it. On Sarah's finger, catching the afternoon light streaming through the window, was a ring. Not just any ring. A ring with a diamond I would recognize anywhere. My grandmother's diamond. What is that on your finger? My voice was deadly calm now. The kind of calm that comes before a hurricane. Sarah looked down at her hand, then quickly tried to hide it behind her back. Too late. I had already seen it. Already recognized the vintage setting, the slight yellow tint to the stone that made it unique, the tiny inscription on the band that read, "Forever yours." Marcus followed my gaze and his face somehow went even paler. Lily, I can explain that too. You gave her my grandmother's ring? Each word felt like glass in my throat. That ring was the last thing my grandmother had given me before she died. She had pressed it into my palm on her deathbed and whispered, "Give this to your daughter one day. Tell her love is precious, but self-respect is priceless." I had treasured it, kept it in a special box in my closet, never wearing it because I was too afraid of losing it. I did not give it to her, Marcus said quickly. I just borrowed the diamond. I was going to put it back. Sarah needed an engagement ring for this work thing, and I thought. You thought you would steal from me to give to her? The words came out as a scream. I did not recognize my own voice. You thought you would take the one thing that means everything to me and give it to the woman you've been cheating with? Sarah was sobbing now, clutching the ring like it was her lifeline. I did not know it was yours. He told me it was his grandmother's. Lily, please, you have to believe me. But I did not believe her. How could I? She had been in my apartment dozens of times. She had seen the photos of my grandmother wearing that exact ring. She had listened to me talk about it, about what it meant to me. She knew. They both knew. The confession that broke me. Marcus took a step toward me, his hands raised like he was approaching a wild animal. Lily, please, just listen to me. I love you. I have always loved you. This thing with Sarah, it is nothing. It is just physical. You are the one I want to marry. You are the one I want to spend my life with. If you loved me, you would not have done this. My hands were shaking so badly I had to clench them into fists. If you loved me, you would not have stolen from me. If you loved me, you would not have lied to my face every single day for 6 months. Sarah suddenly stood up, wrapping the sheet around herself. Her face had changed. The tears were still there, but something else had crept into her expression. Something hard. Tell her the rest, Marcus. If we are confessing everything, tell her all of it. Marcus's eyes went wide. Sarah, no, this is not the time. I am pregnant, she blurted out. The words hung in the air like poison gas. 10 weeks. It is yours. The world stopped. Everything stopped. My heart, my breath, time itself. I heard the words, but my brain could not process them. Pregnant. She was pregnant with his baby. Marcus was talking, his mouth moving, words coming out, but I could not hear them anymore. There was a ringing in my ears, a high-pitched whine that blocked out everything else. I watched his lips form the words "I'm sorry" over and over, but they meant nothing. They were just sounds, empty and meaningless. The secret I kept to myself. I pressed my hand to my stomach, feeling the slight swell that had appeared in the last few weeks. 8 weeks pregnant. I had confirmed it 3 days ago. I had been planning to tell Marcus tonight, at our anniversary dinner. I had bought a little onesie that said "Daddy's Girl" and wrapped it up in a box. It was sitting in my car right now, waiting for the perfect moment that would never come. But looking at him now, looking at both of them, I realized something. This baby was mine. Not ours. Mine. Because the man standing in front of me was not the father I wanted for my child. He was not the partner I thought he was. He was a stranger wearing Marcus's face, and I wanted nothing to do with him. Congratulations, I heard myself say. My voice sounded normal. Too normal. Like I was commenting on the weather or complimenting someone's shoes. I hope you will be very happy together. Marcus's face crumpled. No, Lily, please, you cannot just leave. We need to talk about this. We need to figure this out. I will fix this. I will make it right. Just give me a chance. But I was already walking away. Down the hallway, past the photos of us that lined the walls, past the couch where we had spent countless Sunday mornings drinking coffee and reading the newspaper, past the kitchen where he had taught me how to make his mother's famous pasta sauce. Each step felt like moving through water, heavy and slow. The midnight escape. I grabbed my purse and my keys and walked out. I did not slam the door. I did not throw things or scream or cry. I just left. Simple as that. Behind me, I heard Marcus calling my name, heard his footsteps pounding down the hallway, but I was already in the elevator, watching the numbers light up as I descended. Away from him. Away from that life. Away from everything I thought I knew. I drove to my friend Emma's apartment on the other side of town. She took one look at my face and pulled me inside without asking questions. That night, I lay on her couch, staring at the ceiling, my hand on my stomach, and made a decision. I would keep this baby. I would raise this baby alone. And I would never, ever tell Marcus that he had 2 children on the way, not one. 3 days later, I went back to the apartment when I knew Marcus would be at work. I packed my clothes, my books, my grandmother's photos. Everything that was truly mine. I left behind everything we had bought together. The furniture, the dishes, the decorations. I did not want any of it. It was all contaminated now, tainted with lies. I found my grandmother's ring in Sarah's purse. She had left it there, probably planning to hide it before I noticed. I took it back. It was mine. It had always been mine. And one day, I would give it to my daughter, just like my grandmother had wanted. On the kitchen counter, I left the engagement ring Marcus had given me 2 years ago. It sat there, glinting in the sunlight, a symbol of a promise that had been broken before it was even fully made. Beside it, I placed a note. Just 3 words, "We are done." I blocked his number, blocked his email, blocked him on every social media platform. The only way he could contact me was through my work email, and I planned to quit that job as soon as I found something new. I did not want to give him any way to reach me, any way to explain or apologize or try to win me back. Because here is the thing about betrayal. It is not just about the action. It is about the trust that is broken, the foundation that crumbles, the future that disappears. Marcus had not just cheated on me. He had stolen from me, lied to me, and made me question every moment we had shared together. Were any of them real? Or was I just a fool, believing in a love story that existed only in my head? As I drove away from that apartment for the last time, I made myself a promise. I would never be that naive again. I would never trust someone so completely that I lost myself. I would build a new life, a better life, for me and my baby. And Marcus would never know what he had lost. The story was just beginning. And this time I was writing the ending. Part 2, The Transformation and Rising. 3 months later, the new beginning. The morning sickness hit me like a truck. Every single morning for 12 weeks straight, I would wake up at dawn and run to Emma's tiny bathroom, heaving until there was nothing left. Emma would stand outside the door, holding my hair back when I forgot to tie it up, bringing me ginger tea and crackers, never once complaining about the fact that I had basically invaded her life. "You know," she said one morning, handing me a cool washcloth, "you are going to have to tell people eventually. You cannot hide a pregnancy forever." I looked down at my stomach. At 13 weeks, I was starting to show. Not much, just a small bump that I could still hide under loose sweaters. But Emma was right. Soon, everyone would know. And then the questions would start. Where is the father? Why are you doing this alone? Are you sure you can handle this? I will tell people when I am ready, I said, wiping my mouth. Right now, I just need to focus on staying healthy and keeping my job. Emma gave me that look. The one that said she wanted to argue but knew better. Fine. But you know I am here for whatever you need, right? Doctor appointments, baby shopping, midnight ice cream runs. All of it. I hugged her, tears pricking my eyes. Stupid pregnancy hormones made me cry at everything these days. Commercials, love songs, the sight of baby clothes in store windows. I know. Thank you. The career miracle. Work became my escape. I threw myself into my designs with a passion I had never felt before. Maybe it was the pregnancy hormones, or maybe it was the need to prove that I could survive without Marcus, but suddenly I was creating the best work of my career. I was an architect at a mid-sized firm, mostly doing residential projects. Nice houses for nice families, nothing too exciting. But I had always dreamed of designing something bigger. A public building, something that would leave a mark on the city skyline. One afternoon, my boss called me into his office. "Lily, have you heard about the waterfront development project?" I nodded. Everyone in the architecture community knew about it. The city was building a new cultural center on the waterfront, and they were holding an open competition for the design. Hundreds of firms would submit proposals, but only one would be chosen. The winning designer would become famous overnight. "I want you to enter," my boss said. "I have seen your recent sketches, and I think you have a real shot at this." My heart started racing. "Really? You think I could win?" "I think you would be stupid not to try." He smiled. "Besides, what do you have to lose?" "Everything," I thought. But I did not say that out loud. Instead, I nodded and got to work. For 3 weeks, I barely slept. I sketched and drafted and modeled, creating a design that felt like it came from somewhere deep inside me. A building that was both modern and timeless, with flowing curves that mimicked the waves of the water beside it. Glass walls that would reflect the sunset, making the whole structure glow like it was on fire. Public spaces that invited community, that welcomed everyone, regardless of who they were or where they came from. I submitted it on the last possible day, and then I waited. The news that changed everything. 6 weeks later, I got the call. I had won. Out of 237 submissions from firms all over the country, mine had been chosen. The mayor wanted to meet me. The press wanted to interview me. Architecture magazines were calling for exclusive features. Emma screamed so loud when I told her that the neighbors banged on the wall. We danced around her living room, 2 women celebrating a victory that felt impossible just months ago. For the first time since I had walked out of Marcus's apartment, I felt genuinely happy. The meeting started immediately. The city planning committee, the development team, potential contractors. Everyone wanted a piece of me, wanted to know my vision, wanted to understand how a relatively unknown architect had created something so brilliant. During one of these meetings, a woman in an expensive suit approached me. "Miss Thompson, I represent Hartwell Architecture in Boston. We have been following your work, and we would like to offer you a position. Senior architect, your own team, full creative control on major projects. Boston. 300 miles away from Marcus, from Sarah, from everything that had happened. A fresh start in a new city, with a new job, and a baby on the way. It felt like fate. I accept," I said without hesitation. The wedding I heard about through friends. 2 weeks before I was supposed to move to Boston, I got a text from an old mutual friend. A photo. Marcus and Sarah, standing in front of a courthouse, holding a marriage certificate. The message read, "Did you know about this?" I stared at the photo for a long time. Sarah was wearing a simple white dress, her hand resting on her stomach, which was round with pregnancy. Marcus was smiling, but it did not reach his eyes. He looked tired. Older somehow, like the past few months had aged him years. I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, no jealousy. Just a strange emptiness, like looking at photos of strangers. This was not the Marcus I had known. Or maybe it was, and I had just been too blind to see it. I deleted the photo and blocked the friend who had sent it. I did not need updates on Marcus's life. I did not care who he married or what he was doing. That chapter of my story was over. 5 years later, the woman I became. "Mommy, look." I glanced up from my laptop to see Rose holding up a drawing. She was 4 years old, with my dark hair and Marcus's bright green eyes. Those eyes were the only thing she had inherited from him. Everything else was pure me. Her stubbornness, her creativity, her laugh that sounded like music. "That is beautiful, baby," I said, admiring the crayon masterpiece that looked like abstract chaos but was apparently a picture of our new house. "Should we hang it on the fridge?" "Yes." She ran off, her little feet pattering on the hardwood floors. I looked around my office. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Boston Harbor. Sleek modern furniture. Awards lining the shelves. In 5 years, I had built an empire. My designs were featured in magazines. My firm had a 2-year waiting list. I was invited to speak at universities, to judge competitions, to mentor young architects. And I had done it all while raising Rose by myself. Well, not completely by myself. Emma had moved to Boston with me, became Rose's godmother, and was now my business partner. My parents visited every month, spoiling Rose rotten and never once asking about her father. They knew what had happened. They knew I wanted to move forward, not backward. The ring on my finger caught the light. My grandmother's diamond, reset in a modern platinum band. I wore it every day now, a reminder of where I had come from and what I had survived. Miss Thompson? My assistant poked her head in. The client for the waterfront hotel project is here. Conference room 2. I stood, smoothing my dress. Just another day, just another client. Except when I walked into that conference room, I froze. Because sitting at the table, looking just as shocked as I felt, was Marcus. The meeting that changed the game. For a long moment, we just stared at each other. 5 years had changed him. His hair was shorter, gray threading through the temples. Lines around his eyes that had not been there before. He looked successful though. Expensive suit, leather briefcase, gold watch that probably cost more than my first car. Lily, he said, his voice hoarse. I had no idea you would be the architect on this project. I forced myself to smile professionally. Mr. Emerson. Please, sit down. Let us discuss your vision for the hotel. The meeting was torture. Every time he spoke, I was transported back to that apartment, to that moment of betrayal. But I kept my mask firmly in place. Professional. Cool. Untouchable. When his eyes drifted to the ring on my finger, I saw something flicker in his expression. Pain? Regret? I could not tell and did not care. You are married, he said when the others left the room to get coffee. It was not a question. My personal life is not relevant to this project, I replied, shuffling papers. Lily, please, can we just talk? 5 years. I have thought about you every single day. I have wanted to call you, to apologize, to explain. There is nothing to explain. I cut him off sharply. What happened, happened. We have both moved on. Now, are we going to discuss the hotel design, or do I need to have my assistant show you out? Before he could answer, the conference room door burst open. Sarah walked in, looking nothing like the confident woman I remembered. She was thin, too thin, with dark circles under her eyes. Her clothes were expensive but wrinkled, like she had slept in them. Marcus, we need to talk, she said, then stopped when she saw me. Oh. Lily. Hello. Sarah. I nodded politely, like she was a stranger and not the woman who had destroyed my life. The truth starts to unravel. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. Marcus stood quickly, moving between us like he was afraid we would fight. Sarah, this is not a good time. I am in a meeting. I do not care. Her voice was sharp, brittle. I am done, Marcus. I want a divorce. My eyebrows rose. This was not my business, but I was certainly not going to leave now. I leaned back in my chair, watching the drama unfold like it was a movie. Marcus's face went red. We are not discussing this here. Why not? Sarah laughed, but there was no humor in it. She already knows what kind of man you are. Or have you been pretending to be different? Have you told her how you spent the last 5 years? How you could not stop talking about her? How you compared me to her every single day? Sarah, stop. Marcus's voice was deadly quiet. But Sarah was not stopping. She turned to me, tears streaming down her face. You want to know the truth, Lily? There was no baby. I lied. I made it up to keep him. And the stupid thing is, it worked. He married me out of guilt, and we have been miserable ever since. The room went silent. I sat there, processing this information. No baby. She had lied. The whole reason Marcus had married her was based on a lie. Get out, Marcus said to Sarah, his voice shaking. Get out right now. Sarah grabbed her purse and ran out, sobbing. The door slammed behind her, leaving Marcus and me alone again. He turned to me, his face pale. Lily, I swear, I did not know. When she told me she lost the baby a month after we got married, I thought it was real. I thought I had lost my child. I stayed with her because I felt guilty, because I thought we needed to try to make it work. I had no idea she had lied. I should have felt vindicated. I should have felt satisfaction at watching his marriage fall apart. But all I felt was tired. It does not matter, Marcus. What is done. Does not matter? He stepped closer. Lily, I made the biggest mistake of my life when I betrayed you. I have spent 5 years regretting it. Please, just give me a chance to explain, to make things right. I stood, gathering my papers. I have a daughter, Marcus. A 4-year-old daughter. And she has a father who loves her very much. My life is full. I do not need you in it. The lie came easily. Let him think I was married, that I had moved on completely. It was easier than the truth. Part 3, The Sweet Revenge and Redemption, 2,000 words. The video call that exposed everything. The hotel project continued, despite the personal drama. I was a professional, and I was not going to let my past ruin my present. Marcus tried to talk to me several times, but I kept redirecting the conversation to work. Just work. Nothing personal. 3 weeks into the project, I was on a video call with the development team, reviewing the final plans. Rose was homesick from preschool, and Emma had an emergency client meeting, so I was working from home with my daughter coloring quietly beside me. Or so I thought. Halfway through the presentation, Rose climbed into my lap, wanting to show me her picture. Mommy, look what I drew. I tried to gently push her away from the camera, but it was too late. Everyone on the call had seen her. Including Marcus, whose face had gone completely white. Is that your daughter? One of the team members asked, smiling. She is adorable. Yes, thank you, I said quickly, muting my microphone and turning to Rose. Baby, Mommy is working. Can you go color in your room for a few more minutes? But I want to show you. She pouted, and I saw Marcus lean closer to his screen, staring at her face with an expression I could not quite read. After I finally got Rose settled in her room with her favorite cartoon, I unmuted and tried to continue the presentation. But Marcus was not paying attention anymore. He was staring at me with those intense green eyes, the same green eyes that stared back at me every morning from my daughter's face. The call ended, and within 2 minutes, my phone rang. Marcus. I hesitated, then answered. This is unprofessional. How old is she? His voice was shaking. Your daughter. How old is she? That is none of your business. Lily, please. He sounded desperate now. Just tell me. How old? I took a deep breath. 4. She is 4 years old. Silence. Long, heavy silence. Then, when is her birthday? I could lie. I should lie. But suddenly, I was tired of lying. Tired of hiding. Tired of carrying this secret alone. December 15th. More silence. I could hear him calculating, counting backward. You were pregnant, he whispered. When you left. You were pregnant, and you never told me. Why would I tell you? My voice was cold. You were having a baby with Sarah. You were going to marry her. What difference would it have made? What difference? He was yelling now. Lily, that is my daughter. You kept my daughter from me for 4 years. No. I was surprised by how calm I sounded. Rose is my daughter. Mine. You gave up any right to her the day you chose Sarah over me. Over us. I had no idea there was an us. His voice cracked. If I had known, if you had told me, I never would have married Sarah. I would have chosen you. I would have chosen our baby. But you should have chosen me anyway, I said quietly. Not because I was pregnant. Not because you felt guilty. But because you loved me. Because we had built a life together. Because I deserved your loyalty and your honesty. The pregnancy does not change what you did, Marcus. It just means I had more to lose. The father who wanted in. After that call, Marcus would not leave me alone. Emails, texts, messages through my assistant. He wanted to meet Rose. He wanted to be a father. He wanted to make up for lost time. I ignored him for 2 weeks, but he was persistent. Finally, I agreed to meet him at a coffee shop. Just the two of us, no Rose. He looked terrible. Like he had not slept in days. He ordered a coffee that he did not drink, just held it between his hands like he needed something to grip. I filed for divorce from Sarah, he said without preamble. The lawyers say it will be final in 6 months. That is not my concern. I know. I just wanted you to know. He took a shaky breath. Lily, I want to meet my daughter. I want to be in her life. I know I do not deserve it, but please. Please give me a chance. I stirred my tea, watching the leaves swirl. Why should I? What can you possibly give her that she does not already have? A father, he said simply. A father who loves her, who wants to know her. I made terrible mistakes, Lily, but punishing me means punishing Rose too. She deserves to know where she comes from. He was right, and I hated that he was right. Rose asked about her daddy sometimes. Asked why she did not have one like the other kids at preschool. I had told her that some families looked different, that she had Mommy and Aunt Emma and Grandma and Grandpa, and that was enough. But I could see the questions in her eyes, the wondering. I need to think about it, I said finally. This is not about you and me. This is about what is best for Rose. I understand. He looked hopeful for the first time. Thank you, Lily. Thank you for even considering it. The truth about Sarah's schemes. 2 days later, I got a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Miss Thompson? This is Detective Sarah Martinez with the Boston PD. We are investigating a case involving Marcus Emerson and Sarah Emerson, and your name came up. Would you be willing to come in for an interview? My blood ran cold. What kind of case? I would rather explain in person. Can you come to the station today? An hour later, I was sitting in a small interrogation room, listening to a detective explain how Sarah had been systematically embezzling money from Marcus's company for the past 3 years. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe more. And her ex-boyfriend, the one she claimed was abusive, had been helping her the whole time. Mr. Emerson discovered the theft last week and came to us, the detective explained. He mentioned that you might have information about Mrs. Emerson's character, given your history. I told them everything. About the affair, about the fake pregnancy, about how she had stolen my grandmother's ring. I gave them dates, details, everything I could remember. By the time I left the station, my head was spinning. Marcus called that evening. I heard you talked to the police. Thank you. I just told them the truth. I know. And I am sorry you got dragged into this. I am sorry for all of it. He paused. Sarah admitted everything today. The money, the lies, all of it. Even about us. She said she targeted me deliberately 5 years ago because she knew I came from money. The whole thing was a con from the start. I did not know what to say. Part of me felt vindicated, but another part just felt sad. Sad for the time lost, for the trust broken, for the life we could have had. I am not telling you this to make you feel sorry for me, Marcus continued. I am telling you because I want you to understand. I was an idiot, Lily. I fell for her manipulation, I betrayed you, I threw away the best thing in my life. But I am not that person anymore. I have spent 5 years learning who I am without you, and I do not like that person. I want to be better. For Rose. And for myself. The supervised meeting. Against Emma's advice and probably my own better judgment, I agreed to let Marcus meet Rose. But on my terms. We would meet at a park, Emma would be there, and it would be just an hour. Nothing more. I did not tell Rose who he was. Just that he was a friend of Mommy's who wanted to meet her. She was shy at first, hiding behind my legs, but Marcus was patient. He sat on the grass, showed her pictures of buildings he had designed, talked to her about her favorite colors and animals. Slowly, Rose warmed up to him. She showed him how she could do a cartwheel. She told him about her preschool teacher and her best friend Maya. She asked if he wanted to see the picture she had drawn that morning. I watched them together, and my heart ached. Because I could see it. The resemblance. Not just in the eyes, but in the way Rose tilted her head when she was thinking. The way she laughed at her own jokes. The way she was fearless and cautious at the same time. After an hour, I told Rose it was time to go. She hugged Marcus goodbye without me asking her to, and I saw tears in his eyes as he hugged her back. "Thank you," he whispered to me as Rose ran ahead to Emma. "Thank you for this. Do not make me regret it," I warned. "She is my whole world, Marcus. If you hurt her, if you disappoint her, I will make sure you never see her again." "I understand. I swear, Lily, I will not let her down." The man who stayed in the shadows. Over the next few months, Marcus became a regular part of Rose's life. Supervised visits twice a week. Attendance at her preschool graduation. Birthday presents and bedtime story video calls. He was trying, I had to give him that. But he never pushed for more. Never asked to have her overnight. Never tried to insert himself into my life beyond Rose. He respected my boundaries, respected my new life. The divorce from Sarah was finalized. She went to prison for embezzlement and fraud. Marcus sold his company and started over, building a smaller, more ethical firm. He went to therapy. He paid child support without me having to ask. He was, by all accounts, trying to be a better person. And then, 6 months after that first meeting, I met someone new. His name was James. He was a contractor I worked with on a downtown renovation project. He was kind, funny, genuine. He knew about my past, about Marcus, about Rose. And he did not run. He met Rose and treated her like she was the most important person in the world. He made me laugh again. Made me feel safe again. When James proposed, a year later, I said yes. Not because I needed a man to complete me. But because I had learned the difference between real love and counterfeit love. Because I trusted him in a way I had never fully trusted Marcus, even before the betrayal. Marcus found out about the engagement before I could tell him. He showed up at my office, flowers in hand, panic in his eyes. "You are getting married?" I closed my laptop, looking at him calmly. "Yes. I am." "To that contractor? That James guy?" "His name is James Mitchell, and yes, I am marrying him." Marcus paced the office like a caged animal. "Lily, please, you cannot do this. We are a family. You, me, Rose. We should be together. I know I messed up, but I have changed. I have proven that I have changed. Does not that count for something? Marcus." I stood, walking around my desk to face him. "Yes, you have changed. And I am proud of you for that. But I am not in love with you anymore. I am not sure I ever really was, or if I was just in love with the idea of you. The life I thought we would have. But Rose. Rose has a father who loves her. You. And she is going to have a stepfather who will love her too. James is not trying to replace you. He is just adding to her life, not taking away from it. The wedding he watched from afar. My wedding day was perfect. Small ceremony at a garden venue, just close family and friends. Rose was my flower girl, wearing a white dress with pink ribbons. She took her job very seriously, carefully dropping petals down the aisle with intense concentration that made everyone smile. James stood at the altar waiting for me, and the look in his eyes told me everything I needed to know. This was right. This was real. I wore my mother's dress, altered and updated. And on my finger, I wore my grandmother's ring, moved to my right hand for the ceremony. The ring that had been stolen, that had been part of my greatest pain, now sparkled as a symbol of my greatest strength. I had survived. I had rebuilt. I had found real love. As I walked down the aisle, I noticed a figure standing at the back of the garden. Far from the other guests, half hidden behind a tree. Marcus. He had not been invited, but somehow I had known he would come. Our eyes met for a brief moment. His face was wet with tears, but he was not trying to stop the wedding. He was not making a scene. He was just watching, bearing witness to the life I had built without him. After the ceremony, I found him sitting on a bench near the parking lot. I should have been inside celebrating, but something made me walk over to him. "You came," I said simply. He stood quickly, wiping his face. "I am sorry. I know I was not invited. I just needed to see you happy. To know that you really moved on." "I have." I touched my grandmother's ring. It took time, but I found my way. "He is a good man," Marcus said quietly. "James." I looked him up. "Read about him. He will take care of you. Take care of Rose." "I know." Marcus looked at me for a long moment, like he was memorizing my face. "I lost you twice, Lily. Once when I betrayed you, and again today. But seeing you this happy, knowing Rose has a good life, it makes the losing hurt a little less. I do not deserve your forgiveness, but I hope one day you will believe that I really have changed. That I really am sorry." I thought about it. About all the anger I had carried, all the hurt. And I realized something. I did not need to forgive him for him. I needed to forgive him for me. To finally let go of the last piece of pain. "I believe you," I said. "And Marcus? I forgive you. Not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace." His face crumpled, and fresh tears fell. "Thank you. Thank you, Lily. You are a good father to Rose," I continued. "And I appreciate that you have respected my boundaries. Keep doing that, and we will be fine. We will never be what we were, but we can be good co-parents." He nodded, unable to speak. I turned to go back to my wedding, back to my new husband, back to my new life. But I paused and looked back at him one more time. "Marcus? I hope you find what I found. Real love. Not possession or guilt or obligation. The kind of love that makes you better. You deserve that too." 5 years after the wedding. Rose was 9 years old now, and she had the kind of childhood I had always dreamed of giving her. 2 parents who loved her at home with James and me, plus Marcus who took her every other weekend and never missed a school event. James and I had twin boys now, 2-year-old terrors named Jack and Henry. Rose was an amazing big sister, patient and loving and protective. She knew Marcus was her biological father, but she called James Dad and Marcus Papa Marcus. It worked for us. Marcus had found someone too. A woman named Claire who was a teacher at Rose's school. She was kind and patient, and she treated Rose with genuine affection. They were planning their wedding, and Rose was going to be a junior bridesmaid. One evening, as I was tucking Rose into bed, she looked up at me with those bright green eyes and asked, "Mommy, are you glad Papa Marcus is my daddy?" I thought about it honestly. "Yes, baby. I am. Because you would not be you without him. And you are the best thing that ever happened to me. Even though he hurt you before I was born?" I smiled. Even though. Because sometimes the hardest things in life lead us to the best things. If Papa Marcus had not made mistakes, I would not have moved to Boston. I would not have met your dad. We would not have Jack and Henry. Our family would not exist the way it does now. She thought about that, then nodded seriously. So the sad parts made the happy parts? Exactly. I kissed her forehead. The sad parts made us stronger. They taught us what real love looks like. And now we know better. We do better. The final encounter. 10 years after the betrayal, I ran into Sarah. She was out of prison, working at a coffee shop, looking older and harder than I remembered. She saw me at the same time I saw her, and I watched her face cycle through emotions. Fear, shame, defiance, resignation. Part of me wanted to turn and leave. But another part, the part that had grown and healed and learned, made me walk up to the counter. Hello, Sarah. Lily. She swallowed hard. I will get someone else to take your order if you want. No, it is okay. I looked at the menu. Just a latte, please. She made my drink in silence, hands shaking slightly. When she handed it to me, she could not meet my eyes. I am sorry, she whispered. For everything. I know it does not change anything, but I am sorry. I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw a broken woman who had made terrible choices and paid terrible prices. I forgive you, I said. Not because you asked, but because holding on to anger was poisoning me. I let it go. For me. She started crying, right there behind the counter. I destroyed my own life trying to steal yours. And the worst part is, you have everything now, and I have nothing. You won. And you were not even trying to win. It was not a competition, Sarah. I picked up my latte. It never was. You saw my life as something to take. I saw it as something to build. That is the difference. I left her there and never saw her again. But I heard, through mutual acquaintances, that she got her life together. Went back to school, became a counselor helping other women escape abusive relationships. She never married again, never had children. But she found a kind of peace, I think. The kind that comes from accepting what you have done and trying to be better. The end, a life well lived. 20 years after that terrible anniversary, I stood in an art gallery watching Rose's first solo exhibition. She had become an artist, taking after my creative spirit but making it her own. Her paintings hung on the walls, vibrant and emotional and breathtaking. James stood beside me, his arm around my waist, gray threading through his hair but still handsome. Jack and Henry were there too, both in college now, both so proud of their big sister. Marcus arrived with Claire and their 10-year-old daughter, Sophia. He walked straight to me, smiling. She is incredible, he said, looking at Rose's work. You raised an amazing woman. We raised her, I corrected gently. All of us. It took a village. He nodded, accepting that. Then he pulled a small box from his pocket. I have something for you. I have been holding on to it for 20 years, waiting for the right moment. I opened the box and gasped. Inside was a necklace made from the original setting of my grandmother's ring. He had kept it all these years, had it crafted into something new. I know you reset the diamond, he said. But I thought you might want this too. A piece of your history. A reminder of where you came from. Tears filled my eyes as I put it on. Thank you, Marcus. This means more than you know. Rose came over then, radiant and confident and happy. She hugged Marcus, then James, then me. Thank you all for being here. For believing in me. For showing me what real family looks like. I looked around at these people, this patchwork family we had created from broken pieces. Marcus, who had made terrible mistakes but had spent 2 decades making amends. James, who had loved me knowing I came with baggage and had never made me feel like less. Rose, who had thrived despite the complicated beginning of her life. Jack and Henry and Sophia, the next generation who knew only love and support. This was not the life I had planned 20 years ago. It was better. Because I had built it myself, brick by brick, choice by choice. I had taken my grandmother's advice to heart. Love was precious. But self-respect was priceless. And in the end, the woman who walked away from betrayal had found something far more valuable than the relationship she had lost. She had found herself. Epilogue, words of wisdom. If you are reading this story because you are going through something similar, here is what I learned. Betrayal will break you. Let it. Let yourself fall apart. Cry, scream, grieve the life you thought you were going to have. But do not stay broken. You are not meant to stay shattered on the floor. Rebuild yourself piece by piece. Not into who you were before, but into someone stronger. Someone who knows their worth. Someone who will never settle for crumbs of affection when they deserve a feast. Forgiveness is not about them. It is about you. Forgive so you can let go of the poison that anger creates in your heart. But forgiveness does not mean letting them back in. It just means setting yourself free. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you leads you to the best thing that ever happened to you. But you have to be brave enough to walk away from what is familiar to find what is right. Your value is not determined by someone else's inability to see it. You are worthy of real love, honest love, faithful love. Do not accept anything less. And finally, remember this, the person who betrayed you will have to live with what they did forever. But you? You get to live freely, powerfully, beautifully. You get to write your own ending. Make it a good one. The end. Thank you for watching Heart's Reckoning. If this story touched you, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Share your own story or words of encouragement in the comments below. Remember, you are stronger than you know, and your best life is still ahead of you. See you in the next story.